Good morning. We're going to talk a little bit about a chapter we didn't get to in class, in our Illustrator class, our fundamentals class, and that was chapter 8, working with layers. So I'm just going to go through a few of the highlights of the chapter, and we're over on page 246 in your book, and the lesson overview talks about working with layers, creating, rearranging, and locking layers and sublayers, moving objects between layers, copy and paste objects in their layers from one file to another, merge layers into a single layer, merge or make a layer clipping mask, locate objects in the layers panel, apply appearance attribute to objects and layers, and isolate content in a layer. You see the finished file here. It shows a TV set showing a 1960s game show graphic here, maybe even 1970s. And I'm over in the layers panel, and if I come over here and I click on the visibility icon for the top layer, which is the screen, and then side panel, and then the TV. So here's the TV body. There's a little triangle to the right of the icon to show visibility here. And this will show you all the objects that are actually on that particular layer. And you can hide those also. To the right of the eye for visibility is an area where you can click to lock a layer down. So if you want to lock an object on a layer, you sure can. And then it gives you the name of whatever that object is. In this case, these are just paths that somebody has drawn and maybe filled in. So I'm going to turn back on side panel, and we'll turn back on screen. So this is what we're attempting to do right here. I'm going to come back over to L8 Start, and we're going to start right here. And we're going to come over here in the book, and we're going to talk about layers a little bit. Layers themselves are like clear pieces of what we'll call acetate. Some of you may have read about or heard about or even used what was called an overhead projector, where they would lay layers of acetate over the projection system to build up a composite, may be of bulleted items on a slide or a diagram. Whenever you start a new document, so if I come over here and I do Command or Control N and I start a new document and I click OK, it always begins with one layer. And then as I come over and I add objects or draw things to that particular layer, then those are listed under the layer name. And so you can have as many layers as you want to. Also, let me just kind of fill this object here. And I'm going to draw another one. And I'll come over on my swatches and I'll just pick a contrasting color. So now if I take my selection arrow, my black arrow, and I take this object, you know if I move this, you're going to see that this red rectangle here was drawn last, so it's on the top of the stacking order. You can come in the Layers panel and press on the name of the layer, and actually or the object in the Layers panel, and you can drag it around and change its stacking order. You can also do the same thing in a more simplistic method by going under and right-clicking on objects and picking Arrange and bringing them to the front or the back. And that's within an actual layer. So what we're going to do here is I'm going to close this out and we'll go back to our training file. So we're going to start here and we're going to come over on page 250 and we're going to come over here and we're going to create some layers really quick here. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to add a new layer to the Layers panel, but first I think I'm going to double click on this layer name over here, and I'm going to go ahead and name it Side Panel. And I'm just going to hit the Enter key. Then I'm going to make a new layer. I can either come over to the pop-out menu and make a new layer, which is nice because it automatically gives me the ability to name it. Or I can come to the bottom of the Layers panel, and there's a little paper icon here. I can click on this, and that also makes a new layer. Now that new layer goes above the selected layer, and I'm going to double click on this, and I'm just going to name this TV Body. I'm going to come over, and I'm going to make another layer a different way. I'm going to come down on the paper icon in the lower part of the layers panel. I'm going to Alt Option click on that, and that automatically brings up the layer options for that particular layer as I build it. And I'm just going to name this screen. Okay, I'm over here on the page 251. They just want me to make what is called a sublayer. I'm just going to make a sublayer here. So I'm going to come over here in the layers panel. I'm over on page 251. I'm on step 6. They said pick the side panel layer. And then at the bottom of the layers panel, you see some icons. You know about the trash can to delete things. You know about creating a new layer. Here's something new. I can create a sub-layer within this side panel layer. So I'm just going to go ahead and click on that. And what I'm going to do here is when I click on that, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to make myself a new sub-layer, and I'm going to go ahead and make it knobs. Now you see a whole ton of stuff on here. And basically what that did is when I hit the new sublayer, it twiddled open the panel, side panel, so you can see all the objects that were already on there. And it made me a new layer at the top of all these objects. So all these objects below the name layer 4 were already there on the drawing, or already there on the layer. I'm just going to double click on that. I'm going to name this knobs. Okay. I'm over on page 251. We're going to select and move some objects and layers around. And you can rearrange the stacking order of objects within a layer. You can move the layers themselves around. We're going to go ahead and we're going to move the knobs layer, or excuse me, we're going to move the knobs objects into the knobs sub-layer on the bottom of page 251. We're come over to page 252. And we're going to come over and we're going to make the artboard panel go away and keep the layers out here. So I'm going to press on layers. I'm going to rip it off here. I'm going to put artboards away. And I'm just going to drag this a little bit taller so I can see it. We'll go up to the pop-out menu here for a second. And I'm just going to come over here to panel options. Now this isn't in the book, but I'm going to come over to panel options. I'm going to see, can I make my row indicators and information on the layers panel a little bit larger? So I'm going to come over here and I'm going to pick large, and I'm going to pick OK. And this may be a little bit easier for you to see as we work in the training here. Okay, so let's see, we're over on page 252. I'm supposed to take the selection tool. I'm supposed to step 3, click the top smaller knob on the right side of the screen. So I'm going to come up here and I'm going to click on that. That's not a problem at all. I've got a bounding box on that. And now let's see here. I'm going to drag this into the knobs sublayer. So when I click an object, right here it's activated. I can see this little square right here indicates that it's selected. So I know I can press on this and I'm going to drag it up and I'm going to put it on top of knobs. And now that's going to go into that knobs sublayer. I just drug it on top of there. So again, this is a layer and it's named knobs. It's a sublayer of side panel. We just put that little object already in the knob sublayer. Okay, let's see here what else we're going to do here. We're on page 252. I'm going to deselect. It says click the top group object in the side panel layer. So the top grouped object in the side panel layer. And I'll maybe make this a little bit wider also. There, you can actually see the names a little better. So I'm supposed to pick this. And I'm supposed to hold the shift key down and click on the group directly beneath it. So I'm going to click on this group and this group. Looks like these are a couple more knobs. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to drag those onto the knob sublayer. Right on top. And now they're all part of the knobs sublayer. All the knobs now are within this area right here. So we're in good shape. So at this point in time, it shows you all the parts that make up the individual controls or knobs on this TV. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to save this. Okay. So we're going to continue on here, and we're over on page 253. They're going to quickly here duplicate some layer content. Sometimes I want a duplicate of something, so I can actually do it via the layers menu. So I'm going to come over here on page 253 at the top. It says you can either use the layers panel to duplicate layers or other content, or use the edit, copy, or edit cut commands. We're going to make the layers panel again a little bit wider so I can read the names. And I'm over here on page 253, step 2. Click the path name in the knob sublayer. So this is the path name in the knob sublayer here. I'm going to hold down my Alt key and I'm going to drag that up until it's just above the current path object. So what they're really doing is they want me to make a duplicate of this. So I'm going to hold down my Option or Alt key, and I'm going to drag this up just above this path item, and it's just going to make another one. So I could have Alt drug or Option drug this object on the screen, but I did it here, so it made a duplicate. So now I've got to duplicate this exactly on top of the other one. Now, I'm just going to press on this object. I'm going to hold my Shift key down, and I'm going to move it over here a little bit. I'm going to say I want to move it over to about this location right here. And because it was a duplicate, we just moved that copy over. So we're in pretty good shape here. I'm over on page 253. We're going to move some layers around. And it says here, now you'll move the screen artwork layer to the screen layer, and to which you'll later add some content from another Illustrator file. You'll also move the artwork for the television body to the TV body layer. It says in the artwork, step 1 in the artwork, use the selection tool, click the white rounded corner shape, and I'm going to go ahead and click hold of this. It says here in the layers panel, the side panel shows the selected art indicator. Again, that's this little square you got to keep an eye on. It's the same thing you would do in InDesign, by the way. And I'm going to drag that selected indicator to the right of the side panel layer, straight up to the right of the target icon on the screen layer. Well, that's pretty complicated. What I'm going to do here, I'm going to press on this little square, and I'm going to go up, and I'm going to drag it on top of this little circle here. This is a target indicator. It's hard to see. I'm going to drag it up there, and I'm just going to let up. And what that's done, it's moved that object onto the screen layer. Next thing I'm going to do here, it says click the selection column to the right of the bottom path in the side panel. The bottom path in the side panel. So I'm going to come over here on this little circle. This is called a target. And this is another way I can select things in layers or an Illustrator document. I can click here. It highlighted that. It shows on the screen I have a knob selected here, one of those small knobs. And for what it's worth, Syndrome, it has this blue color next to the word pass, so when I select something, it has a blue bounding box here. Is there anything else they want me to show you at this point? Oh, drag that selected path sublayer onto the TV body layer. Okay, so I'm going to press on this little icon. I'm going to drag it up onto the TV body layer, and so it moves it there. Now the color changes to red because that's the red indication color for that layer. Okay. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to go back, and I'm going to get the bottom path sublayer on the side panel. I'm going to shift click the path sublayer above it. And let's see here. I'm going to grab all this stuff. I believe I'm going to grab this, and I'm going to put this up into the TV body. Let's see here. Is anything else cooking here? I'm on page 255, step 6. Okay. Let's see here. We put those up there, so let's go ahead and see. I have that one there. This one didn't move. So let me click on here again. Let me drag this little square up to the TV body. And I've got those right there. So we're in good shape here. Okay. Let's see here. Is there anything else? Oh, we're supposed to collapse these panels. Now I'm on page 255. I'm on step 8. It says click and drag the side panel layer up between the screen and the TV body. So I'm going to drag side panel up between screen layer and TV body. I'm going to let up. Now they're going to disappear because of the stacking order here. Because the TV body contains our knobs. That's now in the bottom layer stacking order position, so we can't see it because the side panel layer is above that. And it looks like we'll have to fix that in a little bit here. Okay, let's see what else is cooking here. Things are going to look good here. We're going to come over to page 255, and it looks like I'm going to go ahead and lock some layers. So let me pause here just for a second. So we're going to take a look at here, and let's see here. Is everything hunky-dory here? So we'll come back and we'll make those knobs visible here in a little bit. So I'm going to lock down the screen layer on the bottom of page 255. Just to the right of the visibility icon here, I'm going to come over to the screen layer and I'm going to lock it down. I'm going to click here, and that prevents those items from being moved, deleted, or changed. And we'll see, I'm going to repeat the previous step to lock the TV body layer. Got that. I'm over on page 256, and I'm supposed to twiddle open the side panel layer. So I'm going to click on this little triangle. We'll take a look at things in here. It says select the edit column to the right of the eye icon on the path sublayer below the knob sublayer. Wow. So let's go up here. If I look in the book here, there's a little triangle next to knobs, and right below that is a path. And this path right here, I'm supposed to lock down. This is according to the screenshot here in the book on page 256, step 3. Okay. It says we're supposed to select those two knobs here. Now I'm a little confused why they've got us move those knobs, so I'm going to pause here just for a second. Okay, so we're going to come over here, and we're on page 256. We're on step 4. We want to select these two little knobs here, so I'm just going to click on them with the selection tool, hold the shift key, get a hold of the other one here. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to do a little transformation of them called scaling. I'm just going to go over to the object menu here, and I'm going to pick up transform, I'm going to pick up scale, and they want me to scale this up 110%. Okay, so I go ahead and did that. I'll click on the preview, makes them a little bit bigger, and I'm going to go ahead and I approve that, so I'm going to click OK. I'm going to, in the step 6, it says in the layers panel, click the lock icons next to path, screen, and TV body. Path, screen, and TV body are all locked here. Oh, to unlock them, sorry. So I'm supposed to unlock some layers here. Okay, so they're all unlocked. I'm not going to select anything, and I'm going to take a small break here, and we're going to save this, and then we'll come back on starting on page 256, viewing layers. Okay, we're going to resume here on page 256. We're going to start with viewing layers. We know we can hide layers and sublayers and individual objects. So let's come over here on step 1. It says in the layers panel, click the TV body layer. And I will do that. I'm going to click that, and I'm going to alt click or option click on the eye icon to the left of the TV body. Now what that's going to do here it's a quick way to hide all other layers and objects within an Illustrator document. So if I only want to work on the TV body layer, for instance, I can just Alt or Option click on that, it hides everything else. I can repeat the process to bring them all back. I'm going to come over on the TV body layer here, and I'm going to look here for a second, and I notice I have a few items that should be in here. Really, this path, and this path should really be down here. So I'm going to come over here and I'm going to Alt or Option click on TV body. So I basically can see the parts of the screen that are kind of working here a little bit. I'm over on page 257. I'm going to Control click now on an icon to the left of TV body. And what that's going to do, if I Control click on Windows or Command click on Mac, it actually puts me into the outline mode, so I only see the paths that make this up. So we were in preview mode before, and now we're in outline mode. It says take the selection tool, page 257, step 4. Click the rectangle just inside the television shape to select it. And you can look at the screenshot here. So I'm supposed to click on this path right here. And what am I going to do with this for fun? I'm going to click the fill color, and there's a fill color on the bottom of page 257, step 5, and I'm supposed to fill this with wood grain. And let me snoop around here a little bit, see if there's a wood grain item up here. Let me see, am I showing all my swatch kinds? I am. Let me make this a little bit bigger. Large thumbnails. Okay. Oh, there we go. So there's the one, wood grain. So I'm going to click on that, and that fills it. And of course, you're in preview mode, so you can't see it, or excuse me, outline mode, so you can't see it. And notice here in the layers panel, when you Control or Command clicked on that, you toggled your view from preview to outline. And also, it looks like it gives the eyeball to me a little zombie look. So this tells me this layer is in that outline mode. I'm going to Command or Control click on that. It's going to put it back in the regular preview mode here. And let's see what we're going to do here. It says we are going to choose that object that we already have picked, this path that's filled. And because it's at the bottom of the stack, I can't see it. So I'm just going to drag this up to the top. And so now I can see that. Maybe that's a little bit too high. Let me put it between them here. There we go. Now we only have the wood grain on the front of the TV and not the picture tube. Okay, I'm going to take my gradient tool here. I'm going to click on this. I'm going to come over and click on that rectangle filled with a gradient. I'm going to get my gradient tool. And I can see I'm on a radial gradient here right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come to the bottom of it, and I'm going to change the direction of this gradient. I'm going to come to the bottom, I'm going to press, and I'm going to hold down my Shift key, and I'm going to drag this kind of up to the top of the screen. So now it kind of shows me, light from the center going up and radiating out to the corners. I'm going to deselect that, go right over here to the Selection tool, select, and I'll pick Deselect. Okay. So we're going to show all the layers now back in the Layers panel. There's this little icon here that allows me to do that. Page 258, step 10. Just like every other Layers panel in all Adobe programs, there's a pop-out menu here. And there's another little command here we could have done a different way, but this one works fine. It says Show All the Layers. So that's just a quick way to show all the layers. Let's see here. Step 11, click the triangle to the left of the TV body name and hide the contents of that layer. So I'm going to click next to the triangle. I've got that right there. And let's see here. I'm going to click on that and hide that layer. Okay. So now it kind of just shows me kind of all of these items except for the TV body. Now we're going to come over here on pasting a few layers. This is kind of unique, so you got to pay really close attention to this because there's a really important command coming up here. So on page 259, we're going to complete the lesson. You'll copy and paste the remaining pieces of artwork from another file. You can paste a layered file into another file and keep the layers intact. That's the key thing. If you don't do this special little option when you paste a multiple layered item from one Illustrator file to another, it just collapses all those objects onto a single layer. Well, I want to pull that data over and put it into another Illustrator document and have it retain the layer setup I had in my other file. So here we go. I'm going to come over here. I'm going to open up this file. I have it open right over here. It's called Show. And I'm going to take all these items and I'm going to copy them or select them and I'm going to move them over into my other document. So let's see here. It says choose Select All on step 4, page 259. I'm going to select all. And you can see these 4 layers over here: shadow, highlight, text, game board, and background. I want that kept like that when I put this over in the other document. So I've selected all these items. I'm going to go over here to copy. And I'm going to close this out. I don't really need this anymore. And I'm going to come over on my main working document here. Now here's the key thing. I have to come over on page 259, step 6. This is it. So pay close attention. In this file, called Lesson 8, or the TVAI file if you renamed it, you're going to go to the pop-out menu on the Layers panel. And you're going to come down and pick this really super important thing called Paste Remembers Layers. Now that turns on this function. So when I paste this in, it's going to respect and paste those exact layers from the original into here. I'm going to go up under the Edit menu on step 7, page 259. I'm going to go ahead and paste. And it's going to paste that item into my document here. See, it's right there, just like it was in the original document. Now it's not lined up, but let's go ahead and take care of that in a second. So with that selected here, we're supposed to drag the new content on top of the gray rounded rectangle. So I find this kind of strange, but let's go ahead and we'll nudge it around till we got her pretty doggone close. And let's see what else is cooking here. In the Layers panel, select the Shadow Highlight layer. So let's see here. I've got that picked. It says shift-click the background layer name. Got it. And drag any of those 4 selected layers on top of the screen layer. So we're going to put these things onto the screen layer, these objects. Boom. So now they're put into the screen layer. Okay, so now those same layer names, same configuration, now we're in that screen layer. Now I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to collapse these for a second, and I'm going to save. And we're going to come over here, we're going to create what's called a clipping mask. On page 260 it says, creating a clipping mask. The Layers panel lets you create what's called a clipping mask to control whether artwork on a layer or in a group is hidden or revealed. A clipping mask is an object or a group of objects which masks with its shape the artwork below it in the same layer or sublayer so that only artwork within the shape is visible. We're going to drag the Layers panel down so we've got some height here. Already got that down there. It says here on the bottom of page 260, and I've got this marked. It says in the Layers panel, a masking object must be above the object it masks. You can create a clipping mask for an entire layer, sublayer, or group of objects. Because you want to mask all the content in the screen layer, the clipping object needs to be at the top of the screen layer, which is what you did in the previous section. Now, we're going to come over on page 261 here, and I'm going to open up my screen layer, and I'm going to click on this path sublayer. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to drag it on top of the actual name of the layer. Even though it's in there, I'm going to put it on top of that name. And that's going to force it to the top of the stack of all the items on the layer called screen. Now, page 261, here's how we make this clipping mask. And we're going to use this shape, and you're going to see how it's going to clip everything that's outside the shape. You won't be able to see it. It says in the screen layer, it says select the screen layer to highlight it. Then click the Make Release Clipping Mask button at the bottom of the screen. So I had to go back and click on the layer, not the object it was being used as a clip, but the layer. And because this is the top object on here, that's going to work automatically as the clip. So I'm going to come down here, and there's a little item right here that says Make or Release a Clipping Mask. Remember, we had to pick the layer. We've got the objects where we want them. Now we want to invoke it. So now it takes that shape, and everything outside that shape is clipped away. So we only see the items in that path. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to come down to page 261 here. We're going to click on the text sublayer in the layers panel. Let's see here. Here's text. And I'm going to shift click, get a hold of the background layer. And I'm just going to merge all these three layers together into one sublayer. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to probably merge these together. Now, how do I do that? Well, there's a little indicator on the background layer that has a little gray triangle here on the bottom of page 261. It says, notice the current layer indicator shows that last highlighted layer as the active layer. The last layer you select determines the name and the color of the merged layer. So everything's going to merge into background. So let's come over here on page 262, step 2. And I'm just going to go to the pop-up menu here, and I'm just going to go ahead and say Merge Selected Layers. So now all those are put together in this background sublayer. We didn't lose any objects, we just basically lost some sublayer names. It says here we're going to double click to the left of the background layer name for some reason. And let's see here if I can do that. And we're supposed to change the color here to a green so it has a different bounding box color. Okay. Let's see here. Step 4, page 262, it says Alt-click or Option-click the eye icon next to the screen layer. We know that that's going to hide or show all the layers, which it just did. It says here, click the blank visibility icon to the left of the shadow highlight layer to show its contents. So let's see here. I think it's already being shown. I don't think I even need to do that. Let's see. Make sure the background layer is hidden. Okay. This is all on step 4, page 262. Alright. Choose all on active artboard. Select all on active artboard. It says make sure the Align to selection is chosen in the control panel. Well, up here I have a little item here. I'm supposed to align to selection. And I'm going to pick both my horizontal align center and my vertical align center. Step 6, page 262. Let's see here. I sure hope this works. Well, that doesn't look so good there because it moved all those knobs over. So let me undo and get this back to working here a little bit. I'm going to pause and find out here. Oh, I think I'm going to lock down my side panel here and just align things here a little bit. Let's see here. Let me try this. Now, let me undo this here and kind of back up and see what's going on here. Let me pause this for a second. Okay, I'm back. I went to the layers panel and I'm showing all the layers at this point. I'm going to unlock the side panel. So I have all my layers here shown. I'm going to step back to page 262 here. I'm going to go over here to page, again, page 262, step 4. It says alt-click the eye icon to the left of the screen layer to hide the other layers. Okay. It says click the blank visibility icon to the left of the shadow highlight sublayer. Make sure the background layer is hidden. It is. These are the items we're going to align. So let me go ahead. Select all on active artboard. Align to selection here and here. They were already aligned, but they're just reassuring us, I guess. It says the next thing we're going to do is we're going to show all the layers. So sorry about that little interruption there. So let's come down and let's go ahead and show all the layers. All right, so now we're back here. I'm going to click off of this. Let's finish up with a couple of things here. We're over on page 263. One nice thing I can do within the layers panel is kind of locate things I'm looking for. So it says when you're working with artwork, there may be times when you select the content in the artboard and you want to locate the same content in the layers panel. This can help you determine how content is organized. It says select one of the small knobs. Got it. In the layers panel, you'll see a selection indicator to the far right here. We know that that little square here is telling us that. It says there's a little magnifying glass at the bottom of the layers panel right here. So now when I click on this, that's going to reveal where that is in the layers panel. And if it's in a sublayer like this, it's going to show all those items that make that up. So this is a quick way to pick something on your actual artboard and then locate it in the layers panel, especially if you have something with a lot of layers and a lot of sublayers. So I'm just going to twiddle these closed again. So that's kind of a handy feature there. Okay, moving the appearance attributes to layers. You can apply appearance attributes such as styles, effects, and transparency to layers, groups, and objects. We're going to apply an effect to a layer. Then we'll copy that layer to affect another layer. It says click the triangle to the left of the TV body layer name. Right there. Okay. I'm over on page 264. It says click the target icon to the right of the bottom path. This targets this actual item. That actually means it selects it. So what we're going to do here is we're going to come down on step 3. I'm going to go up under the effect menu. I'm going to apply a drop shadow, effect, stylize, drop shadow. And I'm just going to put in some numbers here according to the book. I'm going to turn on preview. And we'll go ahead and we're going to do a 50% opacity, 0 offset for X, 0.1, and a blur of 0.1. There we go. And I'm going to click again just so it updates on the screen. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to turn off preview. And I'm going to turn it back on so we can actually see what's going on here. And this is the outside path. So I'm going to click OK. So it gave us this nice drop shadow here. Now what we're going to do here is we are going to click the appearance panel icon on the right of the workspace to reveal the appearance panel. And here's the appearance panel. Remember, I've talked to you before about this, how vital or how important this actual panel is, because it tells me everything about a selected object and allows me to make changes. So what we're going to do here is let me collapse the layers panel here. I'll move this over here just a little bit. It says we're going to go ahead. I'm going to make sure nothing's selected. I'm going to click in the layers panel to show the layers panel again. And I'm going to come over, I'm going to press Alt or Option click, let's see, on the target okay. Page 265, step 7. Press Alt or Option and drag the shaded target icon of the bottom path of the of the path sublayer in the TV body. So I'm going to click on that, and I'm going to drag this target icon up, and I'm going to drag it on top of the knobs. Well, I can't do that yet because I don't have knobs open. Okay, so I'm going to click on this little target indicator. Now what this is going to do, it's going to move the appearance effects that we applied this drop shadow. We're going to move those appearance effects to these knobs. I'm not changing the stacking order. I'm just moving this appearance up to my items in the knobs sublayer. So all of them receive the same shadow treatment I gave it on the larger portion of the TV set. Let's see what else is cooking here. In the appearance panel, it says, in the appearance panel, click the words drop shadow. So I'm going to come over here and I'm going to select the items here, the knobs, we'll say. And I'm going to come over here in my appearance panel. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to click on drop shadow. And what this does, this allows me to make changes in this. And I'll go ahead and I'm going to put it in 80%. And I'm going to click here. You probably won't see much of a difference. If I turn in preview on and off, you'll notice on these knobs there's a little bit darker drop shadow because we increased the opacity of it. I suppose I could pull a little trick here and click on color and change it to maybe a bright yellow. And then you can actually see the yellow a little bit better. So just know the appearance panel allows me to update these effects. These are called live effects. Okay, I think we're almost done here. The last thing we're going to do is it shows you how to isolate a layer, allows you to isolate a specific layer and then edit the items within that layer without affecting another one. So it's kind of an isolation mode, not just for grouped objects, but this is isolating a layer. So let me go ahead and close out of appearance. And I'm going to bring up my layers panel again here. And I'm just going to move this over here. And I'll close out of appearance. Okay, so what we're going to do here, let's collapse some of these panels and we can always open them back up. Deselect. And we're going to come over here. It says select the side panel layer. Got it. It says from the drop-down menu, enter isolation mode with this layer. So now what it did is it only has the items that are in that side layer active to work with. They're isolated down. So it's like you double-clicking on an object and working through a grouped object. It moves you into an isolation mode now based upon a layer contents instead of object contents. So I can go ahead and I can get a hold of these little puppies here, hold the shift key down, use my arrow key and maybe move them up or move them down. Maybe I'll go shift option and make them a little bit bigger and so on and so forth. So I am going in here in isolation mode on a specific layer. This is really handy. This is something you might want to write down on a post-it note so you remember that this is actually a function. Now, how do we get out of isolation mode? Well, just like we do regular isolation mode, we just hit the escape key. And now we're back here. So there's an overview of that layers chapter on in the book, lesson 8. If you have any questions, go ahead and just drop me an email, but I hope this gives you a little bit of insight on this chapter. Thank you.